Ashes gay cake row. Bakers win Supreme Court appeal. Fantastic. Fantastic. This is superb news. This has been going on for 4 years. 4 years. And those bastards at the Equals Commission, Equality Commission, those bastards have been financing these gay couple with this complete and total nonsense. It should have been thrown out of court at the very beginning, but instead, huge amount of public money has been used to try and destroy these two couples here. They destroy their lives. That's what the gay community trying to do. They did it with a family who had a bed and breakfast. That was the first real case that they did, and they basically destroyed that business. And now they've tried it again. That was in the UK, in England. This case is in Ireland, where they they did this. The Christian owners of a Northern Ireland bakery have won their appeal in the so-called gay cake discrimination case. The UK's highest court ruled that Ashes Bakery's refusal to make a cake with a slogan supporting same-sex marriage was not discriminatory. No, it was offensive to them because they didn't support it. And why should they bake a cake that says, what was it? I think is it? Oh, support gay marriage. What's this? Queer Space, born 1998. So this is the symbol for the gay community. Okay. These two characters, which are out of Sesame Street, are deemed as being. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they were actually, but at the time, because this came out, this is a kids program. Maybe these two characters are gay. Maybe that's what the person who designed this back then was trying to get a message across, that these two characters are gay. We don't know. And I really don't care. The 5 judges on the Supreme Court were unanimous in their judgment. 5 of them. 5. The high-profile dispute began in 2014 when the bakery refused to make a cake with the slogan "Support Gay Marriage." So let's have a look at this. I just want to quickly. Oh gosh, this takes you to the Supreme Court. I would not bother with that. That's too highbrow for me. And so, because just imagine, I walked into Soho in London to a bakery. And I walk in, and I say, "Hello, could you bake me a cake that says I'm against gay marriage?" And whether or not I know that this particular bakery is going to be gay, I mean, it's a known fact that the bakeries that are in Soho will be either owned by gay people, run by gay people, and Soho is a hotbed for the homosexual community. I think, they might make it, but I don't think so. They would definitely tell me to leave, and they'd probably, if I didn't leave, they would either try and probably, or maybe call the police and say you need to leave. Would I then be within my rights? Yeah, I probably would, to take them to court. That they refuse to my cake as because as a Christian, I would be against gay marriage. What would happen? Nothing would happen. Nothing would happen. I mean, they may try and attempt to beat me up, but they'd have to be good at it because, I'm an ex-boxer, an ex-wrestler, an ex-rugby player. So, they'd have to try their best. But the point is that people wouldn't be so spiteful today, so nasty today, as to walk into a gay bakery that they knew that was gay and say, bake me a cake that's got I'm anti-gay marriage. Just wouldn't be allowed to happen. So why is it okay for these people to think that they can walk into a Christian-owned bakery they know is a Christian-owned bakery because they know what was going to happen? The judges should have seen that this was premeditated and deliberate, that they were deliberately going out their way to bring something to court and waste everybody's time. These are the two people that own it, two young people. The customer, gay rights activist, there you go, he's a gay rights activist. Gareth Lee sued the company for discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation and political beliefs. They weren't saying because he was gay, they weren't going to produce the cake. They were saying they didn't want to produce the cake because it had, it had the word support gay marriage. They don't support gay marriage. So how can they produce something that they don't believe in? They just didn't want to do it. They refused to do it. And why should they? If someone walked into the store and say, right, today, and say, I want a swastika on there and I want it to have, I love the Nazis, they would be within their rights to say, no, we're not going to break that. We won't break it. Sorry, take your business elsewhere. There would be some bakers that do it, but many of them would not bake that cake themselves. Or I hate Jews, or I hate Indian people, or I hate Asian people, Oriental people, I hate black people. It wouldn't be made. Simple as that. But the bakery has always insisted its objections was to the message on the cake, not the customer. So they lost the first case. Ashes lost the case. And then the subsequent appeal. But on Wednesday, the firm won its appeal at the Supreme Court. So common sense has now prevailed. The legal battle, which has lasted 4.5 years, 4.5 years, and has cost nearly 500,000 so far, just because of a bitter twat who wants to take this to court because his supposed feelings were hurt, has raised questions over equality and freedom of conscience. Gay cake row costs. The original cake was £36.50. £200,000, God almighty, is the Ashes Bakery legal fees, which I believe I think they've been getting help from the Christian foundations. Big up to them and give them as much support as we possibly can. The Equality Commission legal fees, 250 grand. This is public money that's been wasted. Public money that is being wasted on this nonsense case. There's the twat. There he is. You can just see he's mentally ill. Look at him. Twat. Asher's Bakery's general manager, Daniel MacArthur, said he was delighted and relieved by the ruling. I know a lot of people will be glad to hear this ruling today, because this ruling protects freedom of speech, freedom of conscience for everyone, Mr. McCarthy said outside the court. Mr. Lee said the case had made him feel like a second-class citizen. Good, now piss off. And that he was now concerned about the implications for all the gay community. There is no implications for the gay community other than you need to grow up and start behaving, because this behavior by the gay community is only going to, you're causing this problem, you're bringing annoyance and anger amongst ordinary people who don't care what your sexual orientation is today, but still you feel the need to push something for 4.5 years because you are a mentally ill twat. A mentally ill twat. You brought this on the gay community, nobody else. And I think someone has already said that someone needs to question the Equalities Commission wasting public people's money. We've got to find a way in the future. There's got to be a way where, people can either, support if the money gets to a certain level, maybe to 50 grand, it now needs to be put out to the public. And if it's especially a quite high profile public case, should this case continue or should it be dropped? You can't have cases going on for 4.5 years. This is silly. It's stupid. It's nonsense. To me, this was never about conscience or a statement. All I wanted to do was to order a cake and shut up. You're a lying bastard. You see, that's how they're just lying bastards. He didn't want just to order a cake. He knew that the shop was a Christian-owned shop. Everybody knew in that area it was a Christian-owned shop. He wanted this to go to court. The gay community have done this before. Okay, with the bed set. Yet there is a hotel called the Swallow that caters only to the gay community, to lesbian and gay. And I don't think if you're a straight couple, you are not allowed into that hotel. You will not be given a bed to stay. And what will happen if once you're refused that? If you say you want a double bed for you and your wife, staying there, you'll be refused. You'll be refused. So it was never about, all I wanted to do was to order a cake. No, you didn't. You knew exactly what you were doing. Northern Ireland's Attorney General, John Larkin, welcomed the decision. The Equality Commission for Northern Ireland, which has supported Gareth Lee's action against Ashers, said it would study the implications of the judgment carefully. You better do that, because you've wasted £250,000 good pounds. And I think someone's head needs to roll for this. There is a concern that this judgment may raise uncertainty about the application of equality law in the commercial sector, both about what businesses can do and what customers may expect, said the organisation's chief commissioner. So this has been the most expensive cake in UK history. Questions will now be asked as to whether the Equality Commission was right to spend more than £250,000 good pounds of public English public money on this case. The geezer needs to resign. Plain and simple. DUP, Ian Paisley MP, said he has written to the Northern Ireland Secretary calling for a review of the organisation's funding. Too right. He's written here on Twitter, I've written to the Secretary of State of Northern Ireland calling for a review of funding of the Equality Commission. After such a decisive finding by the Supreme Court, the Equalities Commission's immediate response has been to threaten to waste more public money on this case. Stop it now. Well said, good sir. Well said. They need to stop wasting public money on this nonsense. The judgment has been made, and it should be the end of it. Finish. The highest court in the land has said, basically, enough's enough. People need to now move on. The commission backed Mr. Lee, who ordered the cake, was the gay cake, but was refused. 4 years later, the Supreme Court has ruled it was not a case of discrimination. Ash's Bakery has spent more than 200,000 of their good pounds on the case. It is being paid by the Christian Institute, a charity and a lobby group. Well, big up to the Christian Institute. Well done. And hopefully you'll get all your money back plus more. The cake at the centre of the dispute would have cost £36 and 50 good pence. But it's proven to be the most expensive cake order in the UK history. What was the row about? The customer, the demented, the lunatic, and the twat, Gareth Lee, requested a cake featuring, featuring the Sesame Street characters, Bert and Ernie, iced with the message, support gay marriage, because apparently these two characters from Sesame Street are gay. Okay. His order was initially accepted. Here we go. Let's read this. His order was initially accepted at a branch of Ash's in Belfast Street city centre, but 2 days later, the bakery firm's head office contacted Mr. Lee to say the firm would not make the cake. So they took the order, probably just out of politeness. They didn't want to be seen as being rude, and so and didn't want to make a scene in the office. But they contacted him and said no, they're not going to make it. Why did the bakers refuse? The family-run bakery company, based in County Antrim, has described the same-sex marriage slogan as inconsistent with its religious beliefs. This is a concerted, organised, consistent attack by the gay community at the Christian community. It is going to, by hook or by crook, try to erase the Christian faith from this planet. Plain and simple. One, out of some sense of revenge, but two, if they can somehow either destroy the Bible, which has the quotations in that, says that thou shalt not sleep with, another man or man of the same sex, etc., etc. The quotations are all there. If they can get that erased from the Bible, or somehow bury the Bible eventually, so that nobody reads the Bible, destroy the Christian faith, which helped over time to have a better understanding of the homosexual community. But now it's a case of biting the hand that feeds you. So the gay community, as I believe, needs to be very careful. Otherwise, public opinion will turn against them. Even other gay people will get annoyed and say, look, this isn't a case where it should have been taken to court. Take your money and business elsewhere. You know, if it became a problem where they went to another bakeries and another bakery and another, there seemed to be a concerted problem, fine. You might say, but the problem is, if they'd gone to another bakery that wasn't a Christian bakery and they were quite happy to do that cake, fine, what's the problem? You know, but he knew that it was a Christian bakeries. He knew it. Right. But it points out the company's issue was with the slogan, not Mr. Lee, i.e. Mr. Lee's sexuality, claiming it would have refused the same order from a heterosexual client. As he arrived outside the court for the start of the case in May, Mr. MacArthur said, we didn't say no because of the customer. We served him before. We'd serve him again. I personally wouldn't. I would ban him from a shop. You can't come in here. If he tried to come in again, I said, go on, out you go. I mean, I hope he doesn't try that nonsense. But then, you know, if they're Christians, they're better than me. If they're able to forgive him for his nonsense, as long as he pays the legal fees, which it wouldn't come out of his pocket. It's coming out of your and my pocket. It's coming out of the Equalities Commission, which has decided to finance this to the tune of 250,000 good pounds. Somebody's head needs to roll. Okay, it was because of the message, but some people want the law to make us support something with which we disagree. Exactly. But some people want the law to make us support something with which we disagree. What has the court said and why? In the court's judgment, President of the Supreme Court, Lady Hale, ruled that the bakers did not refuse to fulfill the order because of his sexual orientation. They would have refused to make such a cake for any customer, irrespective of their sexual orientation, she said. So here's the company here. Their objection was to the message on the cake, not to the personal characteristics of Mr. Lee, she added. Accordingly, this court holds that there was no discrimination on the ground of sexual orientation of Mr. Lee. So it wasn't about Mr. Lee's sexuality. It wasn't discrimination about his sexuality. Okay. It was about the message, which they didn't agree with. And so what it basically says, you can't have a disagreement. And also, this bakery must be able to distinguish and be able to judge and say, no, we don't want to make this particular cake. Sorry. What does this mean for the law? When Mr. Lee first took action against the firm, he said the bakery's actions left him feeling like a lesser person. Why would that make you feel like a lesser person? Take your business elsewhere. Move on. Don't take, I mean, you've just got to grow up. I mean, this is the problem. I think he's not, you can see from the picture, the geezer's not really mentally all there. He's just not all there. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled that there was no political discrimination as well as no discrimination based on Mr. Lee's sexual orientation. This conclusion is not in any way to diminish the need to protect gay people and people who support gay marriage from discrimination, said Lady Lee. It is deeply humiliating and an affront to human dignity to deny someone a service because of that person's race, gender, disability, sexual orientation, religion, or belief. But that is not what happened in this case. 5 Supreme Court judges travelled to Belfast earlier this year to hear the case. Let's see, what was that? So they actually went there. The owners of the found to have discriminated. Right, the owners of the Northern Ireland bakery found to have discriminated for refusing to make a gay cake were forced to act against their religious belief. The Supreme Court has heard. Exactly. It is, again, were forced to act against their religious beliefs. Ash's Bakery is challenging the ruling over its decision not to make a cake iced with the slogan "Support Gay Marriage." However, Mr. Lee's barrister said he had no abusive intent placed in the order. Bollocks. He deliberately knew that this was a Christian bakery. All right, he knew it was, and this is the reason why he placed this order. He could have placed this order anywhere else. He did it here because he knew it was a Christian bakery and he knew what the outcome was going to be. Ash's general manager, Daniel MacArthur, and his wife, Amy, attended the meeting in Belfast, where the bakery was represented by barrister David Schofield. This is a case of forced or compelled speech, unlike other cases which have come before the court, Mr. Schofield told the Supreme Court. Mr. and Mrs. MacArthur have been penalised by the state in the form of the judgment at the county court for failing through their family company to create and produce a product bearing an explicit slogan, "Support Gay Marriage," to which they have a genuine objection in conscience. They would equally have refused to provide that cake with a slogan to a heterosexual couple. Their difficulty was the content of the cake, not the characteristics of the customer. And he added that the McCarthy family were being forced to use exactly their skills, trade, and experience for a purpose inconsistent with their beliefs, and claimed that they must choose between operating their business or their living and acting in accordance with their religious beliefs. And we say that cannot be by the law. It is only the second time the Supreme Court, established in 2009, has sat away from its permanent home in London. Last June, the court held 4 days of hearing in Edinburgh, blah, 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 and so on and so on and so on. So this is look, there he is. You can see he needs some help. You know, he's obviously, God almighty. Just look at that. So, so here we go. What could be the ramifications? But what could the ramifications be? Some will regard the ruling that service providers of any religion, race, or sexual orientation can refuse to endorse a message they profoundly disagree with. Of course, because if it's offensive to them and they don't want to produce something that they find offensive, they should not be forced to produce it. Otherwise, bakers around the country should club together and say, we're not going to be made to do something we don't want to do. We can't have a 1984 scenario consistently coming up here. There's going to be a case where people on the, not just the far left, the left period, are going to try and control this world, this planet, this country, and the only way they feel they can do that is to have a 1984 utopia or style of living where they control everybody and tell everybody exactly how they live and how they go about their business. And you will be told what you can like and cannot like, and what you can hate and cannot hate. It's as simple as that. You will be told that to hate capitalism, that the socialist system is the only system that is the perfect system, which is complete shit and bullshit. Which is bullshit and shit. Here we go. Sorry, I'll read that again. For some will regard the ruling that service providers of any religion, race, or sexual orientation can refuse to endorse a message they profoundly disagree with, exactly, as a victory for freedom of expression and ideas, freedom of ideas, says BBC legal correspondent Clive Coleman. The ruling now poses the question whether it will be lawful, for instance, for a bakery to refuse to make a bar mitzvah cake because the baker's owners disagreed with ideas at the heart of the Jewish religion. What about a cake promoting the glory of Brexit? Support fox hunting? Or support veganism? Why not? If they don't want to, they might be someone who might be a profound. They may be meat eaters. They might go against it. They might say no, we don't want to support it. They might be support fox hunting because they don't agree with. It's up to the business should be able to decide who and what they decide to make cakes for. Otherwise, many bakers could look and say, you know what, we're just gonna have a standard cake, and on that cake you take it home and you put whatever you damn well like on it, and we will not put anything on the cake anymore. I think that would probably be the way forward for a lot of companies. Just produce standard cakes, with some. But the trouble is, these are handmade to order, and they can't have cakes, standing around in fridges or forever and ever and all day, because they are a sort of, make and, same day use or couple of days and so on. So it's going to be, maybe some bakers will say, you know what, this is too much hassle. We'll just have pure standard cakes. That's it. And then, they'll be plain, and you can write, take it home and, be artistic as you want and write, what you want on a plain cake. As a result of Wednesday's ruling, there are likely to be further cases in which services are refused on the basis of belief held by the service providers, adds our correspondence. We don't know. We just don't know what will, maybe everything will calm down. Maybe the common sense people will just go about their business. They'll go into a shop if they refuse to make a particular cake, they'll find another baker. You know, it's how it is. Sometimes you'll go to one place, they'll say yes. Other places will go and say no. It's just they can't be forced to. They've got the skills and they'll bake. Should be allowed to cook and for whoever they want, as long as they don't refuse standard service. This is what people got to understand. This is cakes are these cakes are made to order, special order. So they're not refusing to sell you a cake or make you a cake. They just don't want to put certain slogans on. So I would say to all the bakers out there, just make a standard cake, maybe with a few little, slight designs here and there, and then say, right, you can put what you like in the middle. Here, we sell, we can give you as an extra cost, different coloured, what do you call it, icing bags, and then you can write what you damn well like on them. It's as simple and as pure as that. So yeah, I'm really, really happy that they've, let's see, that scrolled right back up again. Yeah, so yeah, it's great news, really, really good news. I'm really happy for them. This must have been, he's really happy there. So I'm glad it hasn't, brought him down too much. She's probably just relieved now that his wife it's over. He's very happy, as you can see. These people shouldn't have to be put through this kind of nonsense. It's just so unfair for people to have to suffer this kind of nonsense from obviously clearly mentally ill people. Look at this guy's sick. He's not well. He's clearly not well, and he's just enjoying the attention that's been put on him. The Equality Commission needs to be investigated, and hopefully the guy who's in charge will get his marching orders, because he's wasted a lot of money. That it was unnecessary. Okay, so well done, and big up to the Christian organisation that are supporting these two guys. Well done. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening.